and welcome to Lincoln Ware Live. It's good to be back in the saddle, riding the range once again. And I want to thank Mary Beavers for filling in for me last week. And I was on a little trip to Hong Kong. I had a great time, by the way, but I missed you. Oh, yeah, and it's good to be back. Today's show, we've got two guests for you. William Taylor from the UPS store. You know, the holiday season is here, and you'll be packaging your bags, sending them off someplace. We'll tell you how to do it right and when you need to do it to get there, for it to get there by Christmas. Then on the second half of the show, Cincinnati City Councilman Jeff Berding just sworn in yesterday for his second term on City Council, and we'll talk to him about what they plan to accomplish over the next 2 years, if anything, on City Council. So get your questions ready for City Councilman Jeff Berding. All right, let's start things off. William Taylor, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, fine, Lincoln. Good to meet you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, tell us about, when is you think would be the deadline if you want to send a package anywhere in the United States and you wanted to get there by Christmas?
Well, that's going to depend on the level of service that you want to use. If you are a procrastinator and you wait to the very last second, the very latest date that you can ship for arrival will be by the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. Would be December 21st, which is a Friday. If you want to go second day air, if you're a little bit better at that, you can be in by December 20th, the Thursday. 3-day select as another service level that we have. You would need to be in by Wednesday, the 19th. And if you want to ship UPS ground, maybe you're a little bit ahead of the game. As long as you're in any time by Tuesday, the 18th of December, your package should arrive by that Monday. Okay. Now that's cutting it close. I typically, recommend to people to give us a day or two just in case there's some kind of problem with delivery. We can't just drop the package off.
Bad weather could happen. You just never know what could come up. So give yourself some time.
Yeah. You might want to pad that by a day, but those are the hard deadlines.
Now, what about if you're shipping something overseas to a serviceman in Iraq, Germany, or anywhere around the world? How should you do that?
If you're going overseas, you should really, by this week, by Friday of this coming week, you should have your item packaged and ready to ship.
Okay. Now we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and show you how to wrap certain presents that you're going to send to make sure they don't end up broken when they arrive at the destination. So we'll take a quick break. We'll do that and come back, and also take your calls at 513-381-3838. Back in a moment. And we're back live. Lincoln Ware Live is the program, and my guest, William Taylor from the UPS store. And the UPS stores all around town. You see them everywhere. And of course, UPS is worldwide. I was in China, and I saw a UPS truck in China. So they're everywhere. All right, William, say for instance, you want to send somebody a camera, or maybe somebody was over for the holidays, they left a camera. How do you package a little small digital camera like that?
Okay, something like that, what we need to do is we need to protect it from the first kind of things you want to do is be able to protect it from moisture and dust. So what we do typically is we'll put it in a poly bag. Now this is pretty big, but we have them in various sizes. So you would want to wrap this in a bag.
Wrap it up like that.
That's our poly bag. This is going to protect it from any kind of moisture or dust. Then what you're going to want to do is get some bubble wrap. Get a little bit of bubble wrap. In this case, since this is a small item, you don't really need a lot.
That bubble wrap works wonders. I mean, it really protects.
Exactly. And what you want to do is you want to have the bubbles facing whatever it is that you're packaging up. So you want the bubbles in towards the item. And you just wrap that up. And when you're packaging any kind of item, whether it's electronics or something heavy, something fragile, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have the item packaged so that you don't feel any hard edges.
Oh, okay.
Then that's when you know you're good. That's when you know you have enough packaging material.
If you feel the edges, then you've got problems.
Right, yeah. Then you might have some damage happen to your package during shipping. The things we want to avoid is there are three main things. It's shock, which is if a package fell off a conveyor belt and hit the ground, that's shock. Vibration is in the truck or moving along. Anywhere through the system, there's going to be vibration. And the other one is compression. So, packages will get stacked on top of each other. We want to make sure that we have it so that the box doesn't collapse.
Okay.
So then you get a shipping box. Now, let me show you an example of what you shouldn't use. You shouldn't use the manufacturer's box if it's a brand new item that's on the shelf. You can use that, but you want to place that box inside of another box.
Okay.
And
don't use the manufacturer's box as your main shipping box.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's good to use it as an interior box, but not for the main shipping box. And also, you want to avoid items like this that have been used, boxes like this that are a little bit beat up. And also, a common mistake that we see people make is they'll use newspaper and crumble that up.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is
I've done that before myself.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake. And the problem with that is the newspaper can compress during shipping, which will allow your package to migrate, and it might get close to an edge, which is what you want to avoid.
And we're taking your calls at 513-381-3838. 513-381-3838 if you have questions about shipping your Christmas packages over the holidays. Okay.
Now, when you get your shipping box, and what you want to do is you just build the box up. You want to go take your tape gun and go down the middle seam. This is what's called an H tape. You go down the middle seam, and then you do the outside edge seams. And again, this is something that helps prevent moisture and that kind of thing from kind of leaking through. All right, now what we want to do is we want to take some loose fill. In this case, since this is a camera and we've got it in a poly bag, we don't necessarily need to have anti-static peanuts. Now, there's anti-static bags and anti-static peanuts. That's something you would want to use if you were shipping like a motherboard or anything with circuitry exposed.
Okay.
Since we don't have that in this case, we don't need to do that.
Okay.
So you want to get your peanuts. You want to put a few of these in here on the bottom, a minimum of 2 inches at the bottom. So you've got something that looks like this. I'm not sure if they can see that on camera or not.
Yeah, they got it.
Okay. Then you want to place your item inside. And again, you're looking for 2 to 4 inches of packaging material on all sides of the item that you're packaging up. So
and you have all these items at the UPS store?
Yes, we do.
Can they just bring the box there and then wrap it when they get on site?
We provide full service, so you can pay us for the packaging material and the packaging service.
Okay.
So you can just come in. We make it easy for you. You've done all your shopping. You've shopped till you dropped. Now you're ready to just send the stuff on. And instead of making you have to do that, you can just have us do it.
And you will wrap it and do all that stuff?
We will do everything for you, full service.
All right.
Yes, sir.
It's not bad, not bad.
So then you want to fill it about 5 to 10% overfill. This is to make sure that you've got plenty of packaging material in there, and that so that the object doesn't migrate. And then we'll do the H tape on the top side of the box.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys would wrap the gifts for you. I didn't think you'd do that.
Yes, sir. And with the new pack and ship promise, the UPS store is the only outlet that actually promises you, in the unlikely event that your package should be damaged and you would need to file a claim, you can not only get back the shipping costs, but also all of the packaging material and packaging service costs as well. And that's brand new this holiday season.
Okay.
So that's one of our big competitive advantages, and one of the main reasons why you want to let us package your packages during this time of year. And the other one is just due to the increased volume of packages in the UPS system. There's more packages, more likelihood that something bad could happen.
Yeah.
So.
Now, and how much is insurance? If you want to insure that camera for its value, about how much would insurance run for, let's say $200?
$200 is going to add about another $1.75 to the cost of shipping. But again, with that, you get the protection of knowing that if your item is damaged and we package it, that you will be covered for not only the shipping cost, but the packaging material and the packaging service. So you get all your money back if it should happen to be damaged.
All right, we'll take a phone call, and then we'll find out how to ship a laptop. if you want to do that. Mary, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. You're awful handsome this morning.
Well, thank you, Mary. I got this suit made in Hong Kong. How about that?
Oh, it's beautiful.
For just a few Hong Kong dollars.
Yeah, I like the tie too. Is it silk?
I got that in Hong Kong also.
Is it silk?
Yeah, of course.
The suit is silk?
Of course.
Oh, that's neat. That's lightweight. That's beautiful. I want to say about the packaging.
Yes.
I ordered a necklace, and it was a little 2x3 box or 2x4 box, or 1x2, however. Anyway, they had it in a great big box, almost like that he had, and I was wondering if anything was in it.
Oh, because the box was so big.
So big, and I had to keep pulling stuff out, and for one, I kept looking.
Well, that's probably a reason for, having a much larger box than the gift. I don't know. Is there a reason why they would do that?
It depends on how fragile or how valuable the item is. Depending on the value of it and the fragility of it, they may do a box. Again, what you want to shoot for is 4 inches of packaging material around the edge of the box. So a lot of times people will see something small and they'll be receiving something small and it'll come in a box and they're like, this looks way too big. But the reason they do that is to ensure that the package, that the item inside arrives in its original condition.
Oh, I want to say one more thing. When they deliver things to you, do you have to sign? Can't you just reach out the door and get it and you don't have to sign?
Well, again, that one's going to depend on the value of the item that is shipping and what area you live in and whether or not the driver, he or she, has access to your actual front door. A lot of people live in apartment complexes or gated communities, and the driver doesn't necessarily have access to the door. Sometimes you are shipping an item that's valuable, say like a laptop, it's $1,000.
They won't leave that at the door.
They're not just going to leave that at the door.
Because they have left packages at my door without me being home.
Yes.
But some, I get the little slip, I have to go pick it up.
Exactly.
But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I open the door, I take the package, but I don't want to sign all the time. I don't feel like signing.
Well, I mean, just sign for the package, Mary. Just be thankful you got something.
I just be glad to get the package and close the door.
Just put your initials on the little box they
There
have.
we go.
Thank you.
Mary,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Have a good time. Have a good day. And the phone number, 513-381-3838. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, take more calls, and find out how to send a laptop. If you're fortunate enough to buy a laptop, to send it to somebody, huh? How about that? Maybe you got a college student somewhere that didn't make it home. We'll take a quick break, and we'll return to Lincoln Ware Live after these messages. And we're back live. Lincoln Ware Live is the program. It's so great that you can see the servicemen send their greetings back hometown. When I was in the Marine Corps, they didn't have anything like that you could send greetings back home. Of course, this was back in the 70s. But anyway, they didn't have it then. But it's great to see these U.S. servicemen and women sending their greetings back home to their families. All right, we've got William Taylor from the UPS store. Coming up in just a few minutes, we've got Jeff Berding from Cincinnati City Council. He'll be my guest on the second half of the show, and you'll get a chance to talk to Jeff. Before we go back to William, let's go to James. James, you have a question?
Yes. Hi, William.
How you doing?
This is you and your guest. I was just wondering if you send a package like to Richmond, Virginia from Cincinnati, and then you send one to New York from Cincinnati, do they both get there at the same time?
If you send one to where from Cincinnati?
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
And New York.
Okay, well, can you get them there? I guess, I don't know.
They get there the same, overnight, like they said.
So basically what we're trying to find out is the time in transit. Now, it just so happens that both of those areas would be the same time in transit if you were using UPS Ground. Now, if you go with the select service like Next Day Air, Second Day Air, or 3-Day Select, those times will be the same, obviously. UPS Ground is the one that has the variance and how long it would take to get there. And in this particular situation, both Virginia and New York would be 2 days going UPS Ground. So to answer your question, yes, they would both get there at the same time.
That's it.
All right. Hey, thanks for your call. All right, now we've got a piggy bank over here. Now, this looks like it's very fragile, and it could break easily if I guess if dropped or landed the wrong way. And how would you pack a piggy bank like that?
Okay, piggy bank. First thing we want to do is, again, we want to protect it from any kind of scuffing or dust or moisture. This isn't anything that's electronic or anything that's perishable, so we don't really have to worry about that a bunch, but yet and still we'll go ahead and polybag this. That's our first step with anything that we have that's fragile or perishable, or clothing, even things that aren't, like stuff like clothing. If the package gets delivered and say the driver he or she does leave the package on the front porch or behind something, we don't want weather to affect the contents. So that's why we use these. And then you want to just remove all the air from the bag. And then we're going to bubble wrap this.
And they charge you by the weight of it, I guess?
It is a combination of the weight and the dimensions of the final package dimensions of the box and the zip code where it's going to.
Okay.
So you take the same box and you're shipping it from Cincinnati to, say, Columbus, it's going to cost less than if you're shipping it from Cincinnati to LA. Okay. And the same size box with a different weight is going to cost more if it weighs heavier. So those are the key differences there. So
the bubble wrap looks like in this situation with this piggy bank, bubble wrap would be a key factor in protecting this.
You're definitely going to have to go with bubble wrap and loose fill. Yeah. And what you want to do is, again, you want to make sure that you can't feel any hard edges. A lot of people don't use enough. They'll use the bubble wrap, but they just don't use enough. Again, you want to make sure you can't feel the hard edges. Let me use this here because I've already got this set up.
513-381-3838. Diane, we're coming to you in just a second. As soon as we get this piggy bank wrapped, we'll come to you, Diane, and take your question. And yeah, that looks like that's wrapped pretty good there. Right. No, it'll take a hard fall to break that baby.
And that's what you want to be able to, the shock of a package, if it just so happened to fall off of a conveyor belt. They say that's about 4 feet high, so it needs to be able to survive that kind of a fall.
Matter of fact, I used to work at UPS back in the late 60s there, loading trucks, and I know how those packages used to fall off those belts, and in the trucks. We weren't very careful with those packages in the trucks either. Right. You know, they'd be stacked up. We would yank one out, and the whole thing would fall down.
So you want to be, and those are the things that are just going to happen. You know, we take pride, and we're not out to damage anyone's package, but those kind of things do happen. So you want to be careful of that. Then you're going to take a shipping box. I've got one built here. We're going to do the H tape as we did before. So you're going to tape the center seam and then the two edge seams. You're going to fill that with at least 2 inches of peanuts in the bottom of the box. And I'll go ahead and do this down here. So you want to make sure that the bottom of the box is filled with at least 2 inches of peanuts. Again, I'll show that to everyone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place the item inside. And then fill with peanuts.
More peanuts.
Again, we're going to overfill this by 5 to 10%.
What's a bag of those peanuts cost?
Okay, at our store, we've got them for $5.99 per bag. Or again, it works out. We've got it priced to perfection. It works out that it's more convenient and costs about the same for us to package your item as for you to come in and buy all the materials and do it yourself. So.
Okay. All right.
So then you would want to overfill that, and then we're just going to do the H tape again on the top of the box. Go down the center seam, the two edge seams. Now, if we were in the store and we were doing this, what I would do is I would generate a label and place a label inside of your box with the item, just in case the label on the outside of the box gets ripped off or you can't read it. Okay. We can still open it up and find out who this is going to.
Okay.
One of the cool things that I've heard as far as packaging stuff, one of the things that you want to know is if you can shake it, we can break it. So you want to package everything so that there's not a lot of movement. I'll go back to the cell phone. We shake this right here. Right. That's not going to get damaged. Now, I go back to this, and I did this to kind of show. I don't know if they can hear that, but we can hear.
Right.
You can hear that moving around.
Right.
This is an item that's probably not going to make it there.
Really?
Just because I didn't actually overfill it by that 5 to 10%. So that's one of the things that you want to remember. If you can hear it moving around, then it's not going to make it.
All right, we might have time for one more quick call before we have to get out of here. Diane?
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Yes. Okay, question being is, I'd like to know the variance in time delivery schedules for ground mail if sent certified. Like if you send it at 3 p.m., sometime it arrives at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and then on other occasions it might arrive at 8:30 or 9:30 in the morning. What would be the variance in delivery schedules?
Okay, that's going to depend on the level of service that you choose, and also, well, mainly just the level of service. We can go like next day air by 10:30 in the morning. The delivery time guarantee is by that particular time. So because we ship something and say that we'll get it there by 3 p.m. doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be at 3 p.m. It could be any time in the day up until 3 p.m. That's our hard deadline. So
okay, so the variance in schedule depends on the traveler, transport system, et cetera. Is that correct?
Right, the level of service that you're shipping and everything. So if you ship something UPS ground, let's say, there are no time guarantees. It's not time certain. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be there during the day on the scheduled delivery date. Exactly. It could be any time during the day. Okay. If you ship something next day air, early a.m., it's going to be there by 8:30 typically in the morning.
Exactly.
And it could be any time before then.
Right, it's going by airplane.
Right. Yeah, then you would want to pick the level of service that gives you, that's most comfortable for you, obviously. But again, the time is we have up until that time. It could be any time before that.
Right, and then the earlier time that you can send, like if you send it by air, then that means you have an extra cost that's added also, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay.
All right. Hey, Diane, thanks for your call.
Great, thank you.
All right, William, you've given us a lot of information. The holiday season is upon us, and the one good suggestion you can give everybody is make sure you mail it in plenty of time. Don't wait till the last minute.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to wait till the last minute on Christmas. This is the time of year you want to make people happy. You want them to get their package on time to be able to open it up on Christmas Day. So I just wanted to mention one thing. We do carry holiday gift boxes as well. Okay. So if you want something that's a little bit more finished and looks like it's ready to go, they don't have to wrap it up, and you won't have to wrap up the interior box. We can sell you one of these, or we can package your box or your item in this as well.
All right. Thank you, William. From the UPS store, shop at your nearest UPS store in your neighborhood. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk to Cincinnati City Councilman Jeff Berding to find out what's on the agenda for City Council for the next 2 years. We'll talk to Jeff after these messages. William, once again, thank you for joining me. All right. We'll be right back. And we're back live, Lincoln Ware Live. We're here every Sunday morning from 10 until 11. Once again, I want to thank Mary Beavers for filling in for me last week, and she did an excellent job. I haven't seen the show yet. I'm going to watch it. Of course, you can watch it online. If you just go to WBQC.com, you can download any show that I've ever done right there online. Just that easy. You can even download this show with Jeff Berding. If you want to check him out, maybe if he says he's going to do something, you can go back to the tape and listen to it and nail him on the cross for that one. Jeff, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good to be here, Lincoln.
You made it back to City Council, and you ready to go for another 2 years?
Absolutely. We've got a lot of work to do.
Now, I read in the paper today, the first thing up on the agenda is to go over the budget with the city manager. What's all that about?
Well, we just have a budget update. We passed a 2-year budget a year ago unanimously, and the revenues have come in one way, the expenses have gone another way, and so we just have a budget update. It shouldn't be as contentious as it was 2 years ago, but we do have about a $25 million deficit still. And, we're not the federal government. We don't have a printing press down in the basement of City Hall, so we got to balance the budget. City manager laid out a roadmap to do that, and now it's up to the council to decide where we want to go.
Now, what over the past 2 years, what did you want to get done that you say we weren't able to get that done, and that you would like to see this 2 years coming up? Is there anything that happened that you wanted to get done that you just couldn't make it work?
Well, I suggested to the mayor the other day when we had lunch together, that I'd like to see the council and the city manager and the mayor go on a retreat together so that we can literally lay out a roadmap, a strategic plan for the city, a shared agenda, so that the voters know where we're taking our city. And I suggested that a year or so ago, and maybe because it was my idea, it was a bad idea, but I've suggested it again. I think that's the right way to kick off the term, so we can talk about what we're going to do in terms of crime and homicides, what we're going to do in terms of quality of life, jobs, what we're going to do with respect to our public schools. I think we need to lay out an agenda.
And you're right. I think if you don't come together without being on city council, all of you get together and go on a retreat and just hash things out. I don't see anything wrong with that, but I guess it wasn't received very well by your other council members, or what?
Well, one of them suggested, the reporters would be in the room. And I said, let them be in the room. We're transparent. We're elected officials. That's okay. Let them, listen to us hash this out. But I still think it's important. The mayor was warm to the idea, and so I followed up with him again. I hope we can do that after January 1st.
Okay, what do you think is the biggest issue that'll be facing City Council the next 2 years? What do you think is number one on your list?
Well, crime. We've made some progress. No question we've made some progress. Violent crime is down. Homicides are down. People are moving back into the city, so certainly we're making progress. But we still have too many homicides. We have too much senseless violence. I was at Chris Spencer's funeral last week, a bright young man who was doing well, who was just tragically shot and killed in a way that just didn't need to happen. And when you go to funerals like that and you see the pain and you just feel the great loss, you know that we have to speak up. We have to reach out. And we have to do more than we're doing to end the cycle of violence that's tragically bringing our city down.
And I just can't understand what goes through the mind of these young kids who think they can just go in anywhere and shoot somebody, rob somebody, and they don't care about the consequences.
I was talking with Dr. Odell Owens about this the other day, and I said to him, maybe if we had some of these young people going to these funerals and just see the great loss, it is so astounding. And his answer was just cold. He said, Jeff, they don't care. They are cold. These young people, something has happened to them early in life, and they are just, it's a chilling thing that they just don't have any sense of human connection. And we have to reach out in a way that tries to bring them back into our common humanity. And I don't think we've done that at all.
All right, 513-381-3838. I guess the end of this month, the Hamilton County Sheriffs will be pulling out of over the Rhine. Do you think that's going to cause concern to the residents and the businesses in that area? I mean, things look like they've been going pretty well since the Sheriff's Department has been in there. What do you think is going to happen now?
Well, I think that the county commissioners are trying to find a way to keep it going. Obviously, they have a terrible budget deficit of their own. They have no reserves, similar, frankly, to where we are as a city. I think the sheriff's patrols have helped. I have confidence in the Cincinnati Police Department, but when you're dealing with crime, you take all the resources you can get. And the county commissioners have offered the sheriff's patrols with the sheriff, and I think they've done a good job. I'd like to see them stay, but if they pull out, then we're just going to have to ask more of the Cincinnati police, ask them to step up patrols, ask them to step up their presence, their visibility, not just in Over the Rhine, but in other of our neighborhoods that are obviously under siege in terms of a lot of the crime.
All right, 513-381-3838. We'll get to the phones in just a second. The banks project, will we see ground being broken for the banks? Will they break ground this year? Will it be next year? Where do we stand there?
Well, the city council right before the election did approve a development agreement. Now the developer, Carter and Dawson, are now out getting their financing. They're going to the banks and looking to borrow money so they can start building these buildings out of the ground. We expect to have some news on that shortly, and then after the first of the year, we expect to be moving some dirt. And obviously that would be a great symbolic victory for our community. But I think long-term, it's part of the answer, because not only does it give people a reason to come into the city, move into the city, work in the city, because we have this nice playground and new neighborhood. We're literally building a new neighborhood on the riverfront. But more importantly, again, if we're going to go out to these young people, and if we're going to try to pull them back into our city, putting them in a union-driven workforce program. Look, you don't have to be on the street. Let me take you down to the union hall where they're training you to be an electrician. They're training people to be carpenters. They're training people to be painters. And now we can put you to work. When you're done, you have the promise of work for 10 years, for 20 years down on the riverfront. That's what we need to make happen in this city.
All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Ron. Ron, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I just wanted to make a comment, Lincoln. And my comment was, I think the problem with these teens, where he was saying they're so cold-hearted and everything, is about that the discipline. The federal government took away the parents' right to discipline their children. So now, you can't even talk to your kid. Your kid asks you, he says no. You say you can't go out the house.
Ryan, I've heard that excuse time and time again, and I'm not buying it. You can discipline your kid, you can spank your kid, but you can't beat your kid half to death. So when people say, well, the federal government won't let me discipline my kid, I'm not buying that.
Well, we were the product of the last whooping, and how did we turn out pretty decent?
Yeah, but you still can spank your kid if you want to, Ron.
Right, I'm not talking about beating them or nothing. I'm just saying discipline, just normal discipline.
All right. Now, Jeff says he agrees with you.
I agree with your point that we need more discipline. We need to have, as best we can, the parents, schools, ministers engaged in a way that gives young people discipline and structure in their lives and the love that goes with that. Because when we discipline our kids and we have structure with our kids, it's because we love them.
Go ahead.
And I just think that in too often, I know that in many respects, the pressure on families, particularly families that are dealing with poverty and dealing with other crises, makes it hard for that structure to be there. But I understand the point he's saying. We need more discipline, we need more structure, and we need to support parents who are making that effort.
All right, let's go to LaShonda. LaShonda, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Pretty good.
From my standpoint, what I saw when I was raising my children, which my oldest son is 19 years old, most of the parents didn't care about disciplining their kids. They were strung out on drugs, for number one. Half of them were in nightclubs, and the kids were raising themselves. Or a neighbor like me who sat at home, had 5 or 6 kids on Friday night, raised them for you. So that's what most of the kids' problems are.
Yeah, all right, thanks for your call. Yeah, a lot of these kids, TV is raising a lot of kids. BET, MTV, and they're trying to live the lifestyle of what they see on TV.
Well, again, I want to thank the caller for what she's done, and she's right. But when you have, in many cases, single mothers, and they're working several jobs, and I have kids of my own, and I have something to go to, and I have my kids, and I have to decide, well, who, can I get a family member? Can I get a neighbor? Can I get a friend to watch my kids? The strain, it's difficult, but the strain of I got to do this to put bread on the table for my kids, it causes a disconnect in many ways that is a burden. And too often we read in the paper, hear on the news, great tragedies because people are facing that burden and maybe they're making poor choices. So we have to find a way to do more as a society, not just the government, but as a society, as people who go to church, people who are good neighbors, to support people in that situation, to give the kids the love and the structure that they need. I like going to Little League youth football games and basketball games, and when you see the kids this little, they have all their hopes and dreams ahead of them. Yeah. They're beautiful. They're beautiful.
What happens
but
when
somehow we have to get them up to, now we can, they've graduated from high school, and they're going to college, or they're going to Cincinnati State, or they're going to that union apprenticeship program, and we've gotten them through those tough years, and we haven't lost them because we can't afford to lose them. And the price is too great when we do lose them. And I want to say, with respect to the city budget, the city spends tens of millions of dollars in these areas. I think people need to ask the question, what kind of results are we getting?
Yeah.
Who's holding people accountable for all of these resources that we put into these programs? And are we really asking the hard questions to say, are you making an impact? Are you saving kids' lives? Are you providing that structure for families? And, I'm not saying maybe we don't need more resources, but for the resources that we're doing, we have to make sure the results, and we have to make sure we're holding people accountable.
All right, we'll come back and talk more about the Cincinnati City Council. We've got Councilman Jeff Berding with us. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back. We'll talk to Wanda, Tia, Jackie, and others holding on right here on Lincoln Ware Live. We'll take a quick break and we'll come right back with Jeff Berding right after these important messages. And we're back, Lincoln Ware Live. I've got Jeff Berding, Cincinnati City Councilman Jeff Berding, just sworn in yesterday, as a matter of fact, down at City Hall, and ready to start another 2-year term. And, people, one of the raps against you, he works for the establishment. He works for the Cincinnati Bengals. Has any issues ever come up in council where you had to abstain from voting concerning the Bengals?
Not one.
Not one?
Not one. I mean, I'm the director of sales. I'm not an owner. I sell tickets. I'm proud to be there. We've done some good things. I would tell you, we just built a new park up on Reading Road. That was the Bengals players and the Marvin Lewis Community Fund. I take players into, different community organizations. So I have an opportunity to do a little bit of service to the Bengals. But the county owns Paul Brown Stadium. The lease is with the county. I think if I was a county commissioner. That'd be a bigger issue.
Right.
But as a city councilman, not at all.
All right, let's go back to the telephones. Let's go to Jackie. Jackie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Lincoln. How are you?
Pretty good.
My question is, actually, it's a comment. I am a single divorced mother of a child with autism, and I wanted to speak on the reference of I know the councilman said something about funding for children, and I have struggled for the past 5 years getting the services that I needed for my son. And in the process of that, Lincoln, I have lost 8 jobs because the agencies that I work with closely were saying that certain services they do not provide in this area for my child. Mm-hmm. So if I wasn't a persistent mother and continued to try to strive to take care of my child, me and my child would have went under. And at a time period, we were in desperate need.
Okay.
And the agencies that were on my case, they were aware of my situation. And I had got no help from them. I heard from word of mouth and through other agencies that wasn't even on my case.
Okay, let's see what Jeff has to say about that.
Let me say I'm glad that you called and brought the issue to our attention. I think these issues are out there more than people know, and the struggles that you have when you're trying to work, and again, you have kids and in some cases special needs children. My suggestion would be if you call 211 at the United Way, that's sort of the community resource hotline. And the people at 211 United Way know all the different agencies, who can provide what, where your eligibility is. And I think that that's a resource that maybe not enough people know about. They know not only what government programs and county programs are there, but also the different private and nonprofit. I spent 10 years at the United Way before I ran for city council. I know that they can really do a lot of good.
Sir, I want to comment on that as well. Thank you for that information, but I have worked in social services for many, many years, and I'm aware of all the services that they have and what they should provide for our children and for the families in order to keep them stable. And no disrespect to you, sir, but they're just not there. Certain services for certain people, especially special needs children and special needs adults, especially special needs children, they just don't exist. And I have tried to work.
Okay, Jackie,
yes.
I'm going to put you on hold and get your number, and Jeff's going to give you a call. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Hold on.
Thank you.
And they'll come back to you. Let's go to Tia. Tia, how are you?
Oh, good morning, Lincoln. How are you?
Pretty good.
And good morning.
Good morning.
My question is, and that's also a comment, the reason these kids are so desensitized to doing all this killing, I think we need a Scared Straight program in the schools early on, and that we treat entire families on censoring what the children watch, where they go, and how to make good decisions on their associates, who their friends are.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I like that.
Gonna
Okay, thanks for your call, Tia. She makes a good point. They did have that Scared Straight program before. I don't know what happened to it. I think probably the liberals got it kicked out or something, you know what I mean? But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it's a terrific idea. I know that Dr. Odell Owens has been going into the public schools and given a presentation to show what happens when you get involved in drugs, what happens when you get involved with guns, and a lot of the bad outcomes, not only for you, but for your family and for your friends. I think we need to do more of that. Let me say that one of my frustrating experiences from the first 2 years on council has been that we don't have a stronger partnership with Cincinnati Public Schools. Mm-hmm. I'm not suggesting that City Council should be running the Cincinnati Public Schools, but our future as a city is so tied to what happens in those public schools.
Right. And things are not happening like they should.
When it's so dysfunctional, I think it causes a loss of confidence, which causes a lot of bad outcomes. I have a daughter at Kilgore, Cincinnati Public. That's a great school. I think they do great things. I'm worried now that the levies failed, what's going to happen for our public schools. But we have to do more. We have to have stronger leadership. The city of Cincinnati gives the Cincinnati Public a lot of money, a lot of resources, and maybe there's some things that we could say, look, we want to have this program done with you in exchange for us giving you all this money, and maybe a Scared Straight program would be something that we should pursue.
All right, let's go to Wanda. Wanda, people, when you're on hold, you can't listen to your TV. You have to listen to your
Yes, how you doing?
Pretty good, Wanda.
Good morning.
Turn your TV down.
Turn the TV down.
Okay, go ahead, Wanda.
Yeah. Oh, get back to the kids. Okay, you know you can't discipline them, right?
You can't discipline.
Yes, you can. Who told you couldn't?
You know the spank is out, right?
What?
The spank is out. You can't whoop them.
Yes, you can. Who told you that?
Everybody.
Oh boy, Wanda.
Look, no, it's 14. 14. No, they be smelly behind, right?
Oh boy. Okay, whatever, Wanda.
Well, man.
What's your question?
What can you do with the kids right today?
What can you do with them?
Yes.
Raise them like they need to be raised, discipline them, pay attention to what they're doing, know where they are.
I was raised right, but these kids coming up these days, you can't talk to them.
Raise your kids like you were raised. How about that?
Yeah, that's a point.
Okay, well, follow that point. Thanks for your call. Let's go to Lenice. Lentz? She's listening to a radio or TV. Tony, how are you?
Hi, Lincoln. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
First of all, I'd like to tell Mr. Berding thank you. I recently sent all the city council people a letter, an essay regarding funding for the African American arts in Cincinnati. And he was one of the few council people who has written me back, emailed me about my essay, and I wanted to thank him for that, for his immediate response. And one thing, as a positive alternative for juvenile delinquency and so forth, is to have some positive arts programs, some things in the city. And I know funding is kind of tight, but I would like to find out if there is a strategy coming to help young people get involved in positive things like the arts in the upcoming term for City Council.
All right.
Thank you.
Hang up and listen to the answer.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your call, and I certainly work pretty hard when people contact my office to give them an immediate response.
Yeah, it's always good to respond back. You say you were the only one?
Let me share. I agree with the point. And the city has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in our rec centers in neighborhoods all across the city. These are among the best recreation centers in the country. Most cities don't invest in a way that we have. And unfortunately, I think that they're underutilized by our youth. And so the question we should ask is what can we do in those rec centers to make them more welcoming, more attractive for young people that we're trying to keep off the streets? Because I hear it all the time, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do in the city. And one of the ideas that Erman Powell and I have talked about is, and I'm going to go to the business community and see if there's a way to do a partnership, maybe with some of the media, is to set up at some of the recreation centers music studios to allow them to young people to come in and experiment with music, experiment with art. Some of them have very creative ideas as it relates to music, and let that happen at the rec centers. Because most people can't afford to do that out on their own. Right. So maybe if we tweaked a little bit at our recreation centers, we could do more. Because then once they're at the rec centers, maybe then they'll see the basketball and they'll see the weights and they'll see, some of the other programs that are in there.
Okay.
But I think if people thought, hey, there's a music studio in there that I could use for free, that would be pretty neat.
All right. Jeff Berding, we have to have you back again. I know there's always some issues going on City Council, so believe me, before the year's out, I'm sure you'll be back a couple of times. to talk about some of the things that's going on in City Council. But congratulations for getting reelected, coming back. I know the polls showed that you might have been in trouble, but hey, that goes to show you can't believe the polls.
Well, we worked very hard, and it's a real honor, and I'm just very grateful to the voters for giving me another chance. I think I've made a difference. We always learn. You always get better, and I think this next few years will be even better, and I think this will leave the city better off than we were today.
All right, tell Brother Powell I said hello.
I sure will.
All right, okay, thank you, Jeff
Lincoln.
Berding. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to wrap things up with the talk of the town right here on Lincoln Ware Live. Don't forget, stick around. Repeat of this show tonight at 8 o'clock on WOTH. Back in a moment. And we're back live, Lincoln Ware Live, and coming up today at noon, we've got American Yakuza coming up at noon today, and at 8 o'clock tonight on Channel 25, WOTH, you'll see a rebroadcast of this show. Yeah. And don't forget, check me out Monday through Friday from 10 to 1 on 1230 The Buzz. If you want to see a rebroadcast of any of the past shows that we've had, all you have to do is log on to WBQC.com, and then you can download and look at some of the other shows that we've had throughout the years. Yeah, so make sure you do that. That's WBQC.com, and you can look at some of the past shows. Don't forget, check me out next Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. Of course, we'll have great guests for you. Pass the word, tell your friends. Lincoln Ware Live on the air Sunday mornings at 10. I'm out of here. We'll see you.